This is it. Episode 4, Eric Lindros. An unbelievable accomplishment once again for High Button Sports. Congrats, fellas. Monday, boys. We kicked it off here. It's sunny out. Good energy in the studio. Whenever that sun is out, you see that snow melting a little bit. Something to, just it does something to me. I don't know about you boys, but it does something to me. I don't know what. It's almost like a turning of the page of another era or another chapter of the year, the second quarter. Moving into summer. So pumped to be here, boys. Playoffs, U18 already into the second round. So many storylines in the NHL with the trade deadline, U15, U16, everything that's going on, the surge, the girls team that we stream, it's all just coming together. It's all coming together just like we planned it. And happy to be here. Jeff, how was the weekend?
It's good. Good. Everything went smooth. Big, kind of a semi-weekend off, actually, just in terms of, had some Game 5s that didn't end up being played, and, the Surge were away, but starting this Friday, it's about to kick up for about 2 straight months, so how about that?
And then we'll be in Montreal.
Exactly.
Time flies. It's the quickest 2 months of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Dude, sitting across from me, how was the weekend?
Weekend was good. It was a busy one for me personally. I was in the rink quite a bit. Was fortunate enough to be in the booth for that Cape Breton West Hunters elimination game, which was everything you could ask for and more in a playoff game. Congrats to the Islanders for moving on. Other than that, just quick shout out to our guy Billy for getting married last week. Been kind of up to date on social media of what he's been going through, and it was just another busy weekend. It's crazy how 6 games on one day seems like a weekend off. It's still quite a bit, but normally when you're used to 12, 14 games in a day, it certainly feels like a day off. I ended up having a day off Sunday, so, good and bad. As much as I love being in the rink, sometimes it's nice to stay home and just kind of keep an eye on things. But overall, good, man. It's another Monday. Feels like it could be September still, but here we are in March.
Billy, the travel coordinator. Congrats, buddy.
Yeah.
Where did he get married again?
Down in Dominican.
That's awesome.
And, he married a sister of one of our former teammates, so kind of keeping it in the family, which is always nice.
Yeah, Henny.
That's it. Yep. So, other than that, how was your weekend?
My weekend was good. A lot of stuff with the house. A lot of stuff with
Cars.
Had to sell a car. That was my first time ever doing that.
How was it?
I mean, it was good. Like the guys who came over to buy it were professionals. You could tell they've bought and sold a car before.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I thought I held my own. Like the guy kept trying to get me lower and lower and lower. And I just kept saying no. Like he got me by like
Couple hundred.
But at the end he was trying to get even lower than that, and I was just at the end of the day I was like, look, dude, no. I just kind of held my own. I was like, you don't have to buy it. Like, he was from Antigonish. So we drove all the way from Antigonish. I'm just like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna go back to Antigonish with no car? You just drove 4 hours. So I knew I had that in my back pocket. So that was nice.
Learn something about permits and contracts and all that stuff too. You think, what I mean? For selling a car, I know what you mean. I had to go through it too. It sucks when you don't know.
I missed that. What was the piece of paper I was looking for?
It was the
permit ownership.
It was like the ownership certificate, basically.
The owner, but this is just classic. So many guys listening to this story right now will relate. So the ownership, what was it, dude? Sorry.
The ownership certificate.
The ownership certificate. Apparently, you don't keep this in the car. You're supposed to keep it in your file folder upstairs, nicely tucked away, which it was. But my wife is the one that does all that filing and keeps everything nice and neat and nice and organized. And I go up and I look in the car section of the nice and organized folder department of this area of my house. And I look, so they're here out in the driveway. So I look for probably 20, 30 minutes and I can tell they're getting a little frustrated. And I go, sorry, boys, just if you don't mind, come back tomorrow. I'm going to look for this the rest of the day. And once I find it, I'll let you know. And they were like, okay, sounds good, whatever. They went back, and I looked for probably 3 hours. Like, you guys left. I kept looking after we got back from our company lunch there. And I'm looking. 3 hours in, I just give up. Because I know as soon as my wife gets home, she's going to look for 5 minutes, and she's going to find this
You even
thing.
said that.
I did say that.
To me, yeah.
So I'm telling you, man, I looked through every envelope. I looked through every piece of paper. I looked through every cabinet. I searched high. I searched low for this certificate of ownership, and couldn't find it. So I let it beat me. So I took a nap, called it quits. I woke up. My wife is home. It's around 5 o'clock. She gets home. Justin, how was your day? How did everything go with selling the car? And I go, good. Like, they're going to agree to the price, but little problem. Like, I can't find that certificate. And she goes, okay, honey, no worries. Like, I'll take a look. And I just know I'm sitting there I'm not helping her look because I'm like,
you're not going to find it.
I'm not going to find it. I just looked in that room for 3 hours. So I'm just sitting there like a little child on the stool in the living room, just waiting for her to go, is this it? So I'm sitting there. I'm just waiting for it. I'm waiting for it. No word of a lie. Less than 15 minutes, she goes, is this it? Just in the most obvious place, like the first drawer right in the middle, a little to the right, says 2020 car information. Just boop, right there. I probably looked through that file 5 times, but just I just don't see it. She pulls it out. Yeah, Justin, it's right here. It looks for 10 minutes.
To
I'm
be
looking
fair,
for 3
it's
hours.
tough to find something you don't know what it looks like.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I know. Like because I don't know. From the Honda, I do know what it looks like. And I just knew it. I just called it. Just something I can't do. I don't know. Maybe other men can relate. I know other men can relate.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm looking for 3 hours for one piece of paper. I can't find it. The wife comes home. She looks for 10 minutes. She finds it. Was it embarrassing? Yes. Am I going to sit here and say that I'm less of a man? Maybe. A little, yeah. But at the end of the day, this is why, they talk about marriage and relationships. This is just another reason I think why they're good, because men can't do certain things that women can't. I'll admit that.
Yep.
And even if it is finding a piece of paper in the middle of a file folder that is labeled 2020 car information, I still can't find it because I'm an idiot. But it's all good though. Sold the car, made some money.
Got another one.
Bought another car.
Bought another
more
car. You
expensive.
used that money to put the deposit down.
That's
What else
life.
do you want? And a lot of lessons learned, right?
That's life, baby.
Yeah. So that was good.
Sell something to buy something else,
You're
it's like that old saying. You always see these posts online. It's like my husband, they're playing COD. It's like a video, and he sees this guy like way back in the darkness in the woods, and then you open the fridge, can't find the ketchup. That's just guys, man. And to be fair, like we're rifling through pages. We're not taking it. She probably took each page out and looked at it. No,
Definitely.
it's not it. And we were just going, can't find it. That's just how guys' brains work. But you did call it. We were leaving the room. You're like, let's shut it down. Sarah's gonna come home. She's gonna find this in 5 minutes.
So we had like our family, like how all families meet on Sunday, whatever. Like our family thing was on Sunday, so everyone's going like, how was everyone's weekend? What you get up to? Like basically what we're doing now. And Sarah goes, I got the story for you. And like her dad's there, and like her brother, and like there's a bunch of other men in the room. So she's telling this story, and I'm literally just sitting there with my head down, going, all right. And then all these guys are just looking at me, like looking like they're just like, yeah, it's a man thing.
It
it
makes
happens.
sense.
It
Yeah.
happens.
Happened
Like,
to me last week.
Yeah. Anyway, so that was an embarrassing moment. All good, Colin. But it is what it is. Oh, is Jeff's thing like popping up or something?
Yeah, it's just shutting off.
What's happening with it?
It's just shutting on and off.
Okay, well, just don't speak for a minute, Jeff, till we get your camera fixed.
He gives you the thumbs up, doesn't talk. Immediate takes it and uses it. Following direction.
But from what I saw from the streaming aspect, looked like an exciting. It looked like an exciting weekend of hockey at the U18 level. I saw that glass broke in Cole Harbor and warm up.
Oh my God!
Did they fix it?
They did, yeah. And I'll be honest, right off the bat, I didn't have a whole lot of faith in the crew there, and it's not that I know them, but those things happen quickly, and you're not expecting them, right? Like you expect the glass behind the net to break and stuff like that, but it was just such a weird thing. It was already like pushing the game time, and then all of a sudden I look over and I'm like, oh man, here's the ice. But the best part about the whole thing was there was a fan up in the crowd, and he was like leaning on the bar. You know how guys are, right? Something like that
We all wanna
happens,
help.
and everyone's got their 2 cents to put in, and this was pretty much all that was going on up until that point. So I was like, well, I might as well just like stream it. I'm already live, and it might be a good clip or something like that. Anyways, I sent you a video of the breakdown, and they get the ice out. Buddy comes right out on the ice with the walkie-talkie, so you can see everyone scrambling. And of course, the Cole Harbor guys are shooting pucks into the glass and like into the broken glass and stuff. And then finally, someone came over, was like, "What are you guys doing?" Anyways, the old one of the dads, I assume, was up in the crowd, and they were trying to get that like stanchion in that holds the glass. And he's like going up and down. They got the big piece of glass in, and everything's going well, and they can't get it like locked in, so you have to like slide the stanchion in, and it locks the glass in place.
Yeah.
And the guy's like moving it. The rink guy's moving it. He can't get it. He's looking around all the different angles, and I just happened to look over at the crowd, and I can see this dad like kind of creeping towards him, and he's like, you can tell he's trying to get his attention, and I'm thinking, oh geez, what's this guy gonna say? and it was silent in the rink at this point. So I heard him go, "It's upside down," and the guy was like, "What?" And then he yells at him again. You can see him in the video I sent you. He's like, "Hey!" Yells at the guy, looks up, and the last thing you're trying to do is take direction from somebody in the crowd when this is your job. You know what I mean? And he goes, "It's upside down." So the guy flips it, and then gets the glass in, and then it was all good. And the dad was just like, so proud of himself. It's like, but like my question is, if you knew what was going on, why didn't you go down and help? You know what I mean? But there is part of it from a guy's standpoint where it's like, just let him do his thing. Like, you know, you don't want too many cooks in the kitchen type deal. But I mean, I'm not going to call it exciting, but it was something interesting, you know, to kind of get the blood pumping before that game. And you're just thinking, okay, if this is what's happening in warm up, what's going to happen in the game?
There's something about glass breaking in a rink where every single guy in the rink wants to help. I don't know what it is, but when glass breaks, every single guy goes, "I wonder if they need me."
Yeah.
You know, like I got a broom in the car, maybe I could. So there is that. Same with a Zamboni breaking down. It's like, oh, I can go push. I can.
Yeah.
There's if something ever breaks in a rink, every single guy sitting there, there's an element. Even if they know they're not going to do anything, there's an element of going, okay, what can I do to help here? Maybe.
Yeah.
They all like migrate to it slowly, and then you look down and there's like ants around something. There's like 10 of them huddled around just watching.
What was that thing? Sorry. What was that thing? Remember the Zamboni broke at a tournament and there was like 20 dads?
Buster Harvey.
The Buster Harvey.
Yeah.
That was the funniest thing. And wasn't it like an electric?
Yeah, so everyone had their input on it, right?
Only because there was one dad up there who like was a Zamboni driver like back in the city, and he was up there chirping the electric Zamboni. He goes, "See, that's why you don't buy electric." And everyone's looking at him like, "I know." Like,
All you need is a CO2 tank. And
yeah. He's like, "I could go down there right now and fix it, but I'm not. They got to learn a lesson." I'm like, "All right, man, do your thing." And I'm just there like filming, and then they tried to push it in, and like the antenna broke the top.
Yeah.
Like the antenna broke the sign going in.
Oh, yeah, crushed
oh,
it.
Man, it was just melee. It was so funny.
The one thing I will say about videotaping, there was a couple people that like, this kind of aggravates me. I don't know if it's just me getting older or whatever, but there was like 3 different people I saw in the clip come down and just like take a picture or like videotape. And it's like, if you're going to go all the way down there from up in the crowd, like offer your help, but they just go down. And I put myself in the workers situation where you're trying to get this going. This is a playoff game. You have a schedule to keep, and they're just trying to like get this glass in so we can play. But there's people down there like taking videos and like, it's like, I get it, but like, just let the man do the job. Like,
Yeah, I'm definitely like, I've always been, if something's going wrong with the streaming or something, like I just want everyone to clear out.
Yeah.
Like I'd rather just no voices
stop picking at me.
in my ear until it's done.
Which
If
obviously
you-
isn't
you know,
reality.
it's
right?
the old, if you want something done right, do it yourself, right? So,
But I will say, man, these guys, like, they got this done pretty quickly. Like, we only
Yeah.
ended up being 10 minutes behind. And
That's what I was gonna say, man. Like I've seen a handful of glass breaks just like you two have, and like it can go from you're in and out in 10 minutes
Yep.
to you're waiting around for an hour for them to find a piece of 2x4 that fits.
I was surprised that they had glass because that's what I
Yeah.
even said. I was like, I assumed that was going to be wood. But I did say this right before the game to whoever was up in the booth with me. But, you know, in that scenario, you want it to break in warm up. Because if it's during, like, I'm picturing a guy getting hit there, which there were a ton of hits in this game. If that gets hit, now you got glass down the guy's gear, and it's a whole other ordeal, right? You got to make sure that he didn't get cut, and like, just picture getting hit on the glass and it just shatters on you. But the way it broke was really weird. Like, it was Hawko, the guy I used to coach, and he just like flicked the puck at the glass. So that piece of glass was breaking at some point that night. It just, the timing of it I thought was perfect as far as, obviously you don't want anything to go wrong, but in warm up, if you flick a puck at the glass, like his reaction was like what? How does that happen? So it's better that it didn't break on a player, because then you're looking at the cleanup, and then you have to do the ice again, and that's the other part. You have to get rid of all the glass before the Zamboni goes over, because it'll mess up the system. So all in all, man, pretty quickly done. So shout out to the people at Cole Harbor Place, because I was like, oh man, we are in for one. And I even called this on the way in to my fiance. I was like, I just have this feeling this game isn't going to start on time.
Your gut, man. We should talk about that.
It's crazy. And Lise was like, of course.
Should we talk about this right now?
You can't.
Why not?
Yeah, you can. I was just kidding.
This is great stuff. Like, dudes' gut feeling, excuse me. Not gut, like you're in shape. I'm not saying you got a gut. I'm
I
saying
got a
your
little
gut.
one. Yeah,
For how little you eat, it's surprising.
yeah.
Well, you do. No, I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
saying, so it's weird, this life. Dudes' gut feelings have been on point lately,
Yeah.
which is weird.
It is weird.
The travel trip to Boston, a lot of things that were happening there that Cohen, you're freaking me out here.
It's just the camera.
What's going on with the
It
camera?
keeps on shutting off, so I'm wondering if it's dead. Like
Is that thing plugged in?
That charger's probably too weak for it.
No, that's the charger that we use all the time. Is it
On
plugged in right now?
computers.
My gut didn't tell us this.
Here, make sure it's plugged in at the other end, like like that white. So is that plugged in there? What you could also do is like take it out, flip it around.
Blow on it.
007 N64
It
cartridge.
should be good.
I saw a meme of the Oilers the other day, and it was like last case.
good
It was
there?
like last chance here,
Okay.
and it was just like a picture of them like pulling one of those out with the Oilers logo, blowing on it, put it back in.
What were we talking about?
His gut. My gut telling
Oh
me
yeah.
okay.
Well, like his gut's been on point.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of scenarios in this business where you have to make a decision, and unfortunately, right? Well, I guess, or fortunately, we're going with Dudes' gut on a lot of it.
To play devil's advocate, I'm under the I kind of have the feeling like if you think something's gonna go wrong, it will go wrong. So if Dudes is heading in saying this ain't gonna work,
But it's
then
not. I'm
then
not
that
thinking
goes-
about it though. It just hits me. You know.
So right now, Dudes thinks that the company is taking advantage of his gut because, like, if I'm at the grocery store and I got to make a decision between two cereals, and I'll text Dudes, be like, Dudes, what do you think about this cereal or this
Immediate.
cereal? What's your gut telling you? And he's just like, we can't be taking advantage of it like that. We got to use it when we need it, not when for luxuries.
And like I don't ask myself questions. Like I don't go, what should I do here? And I'm on your side because manifestation is big for me. And when
These
you put
streams,
something
man.
into the universe, it usually happens. But it's not like I don't use it as like, hey, what's going to happen here today? I just go about my day, and then I get this like for the border, for instance, I got nervous, I got sweaty, and I got anxious, which is pretty normal activity to go into the border. But it just like it felt different to me. Like it just felt like something wasn't going to go right, even though I knew we were good. And that's just like little things like that. Like even going to Cole Harbor Place, I was like, I just like got this like sweat. I get these sweaty feelings, and I start to inner sweat, and I don't go, oh, I wonder if something's going to go wrong. I just go, oh, boom, like that. But the weird part about it for me is that when I was growing up, I always went against it. And that's when I always got in trouble. So I flipped at some point in my life where I just went, you know what, I'm just going to go with my gut feelings. And it seems to have worked out recently. That's why I get pissed off when you're like, what's your gut saying for this? I go, you don't get to ask it questions. It has to be like organic. It just comes up, you know, like it's not, because obviously if I knew what was going on, I would just buy lottery tickets and, you know what I mean? But it doesn't work for things like that. It's just a feeling that you get.
You know what we should do for Leafs this year during playoffs, like before the game starts, like go, okay, Dudes, what's your gut saying about the Leafs? Are they going to win today? Are they going to lose today? And then have like a little tally going, like, was Dudes' gut right or was Dudes' gut wrong? We'll get a quote from the gut. You know, we'll put it on Instagram or something.
That's going against what you want, though, isn't it? Because
Yeah,
putting
but
too much
he'll have
stock
his
into
gut,
the gut.
His gut is going to tell him. He's not like
that day.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
he'll be
that
nervous.
day.
He'll be
I'll
anxious.
tell you
Like,
right now, it's a loss.
That's not what my
all
gut
four
says.
games, first round, going.
I mean, it's
Can your
possible.
gut do things for other teams other than the Leafs? Like, can your gut do things for Edmonton?
What
Like,
was your gut saying during the big run last year when we were in Montreal?
Well, I don't know if you guys
Had a good
remember this,
feeling.
but after the Game 3 loss, I didn't say my gut. I just said this series is going 7. And it's just like, and sometimes it's just bullshit. Like,
like Florida, Edmonton.
just like boom, like that. Yeah, in the Stanley Cup final, it was just like all of a sudden you're in a situation and you just go with what your gut tells you, right? Like I'm not thinking. That's the thing about this is like, on the way to Cole Harbor, I wasn't thinking what could go wrong. I'm thinking, okay, this is a playoff game. It's going to be a good game. Here's their top players. I'm going through the rosters in my head, and then all of a sudden I get this feeling. Why is this game not going to start on time?
At least
then-
it was something we couldn't handle.
Right, exactly.
Take that
So
away.
it's no different. Like when the Leafs playoff games comes, I'll sit in the office, watch my game, and before the game, I'll either have a good feeling about it or a bad feeling about it. There's no like in between. It's not like, oh, I'm not sure. It's just like matter of fact. But
Alright.
it's weird, man, because like, you know, Lisa's always like, how did you know that? Like, go buy a lottery ticket. I'm like, that's just not how it works. Like, I'm not predicting things. I'm feeling things. You know,
but you can't ask it. It just
can't
comes
ask
to
it.
you.
Yeah, and that's just taking advantage of it. You don't want to lose its effectiveness, right?
Yeah.
So it's weird. It really is. Believe me. It sounds ridiculous, some of this stuff, but I just go with my gut, man, and it's honestly worked. And ever since I started going with it, my life's gotten better.
I believe it. Gut feeling.
You know,
Ovechkin, boys. Ovi.
what's he 10 out?
10 out. He needs 11 to beat it.
How many games left?
20?
Where was that on the notes, Colin? It says 10
Definitely
goals
not on
away. Ovechkin is 10 goals away from tying Gretzky in all-time goal race.
In how many games?
I'll look right now.
I think it's 22.
Something like that.
I think it's
Star break was the half line mark. Was it not?
yeah, I thought so too, but it's not.
No.
It's like 22 or something.
All right, let's go look here. What's today?
I think
They
it was
have
like 52 games.
Today's the March of 3rd.
the March of 3rd. So they have a game today.
That's
1,
one.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22
Balance.
games exactly on it.
22.
I mean, the easiest way to do it is to look how many they played, then minus 82.
Yeah, if everybody that knows me knows I can't
I
do
know,
math.
You just have to times it by 1.34. Just pretty,
22 games.
pretty incredible stuff. Like, we're all in our 30s here, minus Cohen, or I guess you're not even in your 30s. But
No.
what I'm trying to say is that in our lifetime,
God.
what are you talking about?
I'm on
My
the right side of
30s,
30.
I'm thriving right now in 30.
Are you on the right or the wrong side of 30 right now?
The right, because I'm not 35 yet.
Yeah, I'm 33.
I think it's from 30. So,
Depends-
like, if you're
depends
before
how you
it,
look
you're
at
on
it.
the right side. If you're after.
People that are
wrong.
60 right now are cursing you.
Anyways, the 30 is the new like 15. Or I'm young. Anyways, pretty incredible things that we're getting to witness right now from Alexander Ovechkin. Who knows if we get to see something like this again in our lifetime? I know there's a lot of other goal scorers in the NHL that could maybe potentially surpass this. I know like Matthews is on pace, yada yada, but I think the most impressive thing right now about Ovechkin is that he is his biggest enemy is Father Time, Mother Time. Father Time, and right now he's winning. He's going against what everyone used to say about back in the day. Remember, he was just so reckless. Don Cherry said, "Look, God loved Don Cherry," but like I remember the knock against him was, "Oh, he's throwing his body around. No way he's going to be able to keep up this energy in his later years in his career." And he's just taken all of those game notes and said, "Nah, I'm going to be just fine." And he's out there and he's just standing in the same place that he's been standing in his whole career and shooting the puck. And he's taking the puck, he's flexing his stick, and it's somehow fluttering into the back of the net. It's certain things, just like I always go back to Sid or these other great players. These are things and goals and little tricks within the game that you can't teach, you can't explain, you don't know how they're happening because they're great. You can't go to the school of hockey greatness and teach some of the things that Ovechkin's doing out there. It's greatness. There's no doing it. It's God-given ability. And these goals that Ovechkin's putting in right now, it's almost like it's just meant to be. You see some of the angles, some of the accuracy, I guess shots that's tipping off three guys but going in. It just is what it is. You can't even call it luck anymore because he's been doing it the most out of anyone in the history of the NHL. It's unbelievable to see what he's doing, and 11 goals away. Who knows if we ever see this again? So every time the Washington Capitals play on television, it's must-watch TV. Anyone going to disagree with me there?
No, I think that was a great breakdown,
Okay.
especially the point about like how can we call this like luck or whatever now when he just continues to do it, and like he broke his leg this year, boys. Like, he's played almost 20 games less than everybody else on his team, and he's only 7 goals ahead of Tom Wilson, which is a crazy stat, but 31 goals. Camera still?
This is the charging port back here.
Oh.
Not right there.
Here we go.
He had it in I don't even know what that is.
Well, it fits there, so it's for something.
Is the former
Anyways.
producer, boys. Took a little
Unacceptable.
satisfaction in that one.
But you know what the crazy part for me about the Ovechkin thing is how do you just stand in that spot? Now, obviously, there's a lot more to his game than standing at the top of the circle, but with all the analytics and the video and the clips and everything like that, what is it about where he stands that no one can defend? It just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, him and Stamkos have that spot. Now, I know a lot of guys are willing to sacrifice their body on game 27 of a Ovechkin one-timer, but, like, goal scorers score, man. It just doesn't matter. Like, you can hit it off 5 bodies, and it's going to find the back of the net, and there's other guys that are snake bit that could have 4 breakaways in a game, and they just can't get it done. But 31 goals this year. He's like 38 years old.
Oh man, it's
It's
crazy.
insane.
And the thing is like last year, at the start of last year, it was a question of like if he was gonna do it
In his career in
If-
general.
yeah, and now it's like that just seems ridiculous now. He's down to 10 goals and he's like banging them out game by game.
I remember there was a couple photos that came out in the summer, and he's looking a little chubby, right? And you're just like, oh, no, maybe he's just pulling the buffalo, and he's just going to call it quits, just put some weight on and call it. And it's like, no, man, not one of the greats. Alexander Ovechkin comes back, great shape, And I guarantee during that time off, during the Four Nations Cup, when he was down, I think Florida, training with someone, that's when he was just like, nah, I got to get it done this year. I'm going to put that work in while everyone else is boozing it up. And just, you know what I was thinking of too? Remember the documentary of Derek Jeter before he got his 400th home run?
Yeah.
What was that documentary?
It was
400, 1,000.
his 1,000th hit.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, and he hit that ball through the right side.
Yeah. I guarantee right now that there's a camera crew following Alexander Ovechkin around. 10, I bet it's probably starting now. 10 goals away.
Yeah.
It's like now is when you get that NHL camera crew, HBO camera crew, whatever it is. Prime, sure, and you just follow him around. Imagine just the lifestyle. He's not even lifestyle. Just imagine the media request. Imagine the nervous energy maybe around him. Imagine, he's going home, being a regular guy, hanging out with his kids and his wife, but yet he has this huge milestone to pass. Some incredible footage would be able to be captured right now at his house at the rink. Just the
mini OVI and stuff too.
Just I wonder if his kids understand what's going on. Do his kids know who Wayne Gretzky is? Do his kids know the importance of things that are happening right now in his life? I don't know. It would just be really cool to see, 20 years from now to look back at that footage, because I guarantee Derek Jeter's looking back at the footage that HBO shot, whatever it was, 10 years ago. So I guarantee there's something happening. Just everything. And as soon as that Michael Jordan documentary came out, 4 or 5 years ago,
The Last Dance.
Just know that these production companies aren't stupid. If we had the money in the budget to be following people around that are about to break history, we would. And I know with things like this will be a Netflix series one day. They could maybe just release it, next year when they film it this year. But there's going to be some really cool behind-the-scenes footage, calling it right now, that will be out in a year or two once this is done. So look out for that. I don't know, what are they going to call it? They're probably going to call it
Grade 8.
Yeah.
No.
Definitely.
There has to be a play on it with
Well, it's the Grade 1 and the Grade 8, so it's like.
You think they're going to call it the Grade 8?
Well, the Grade 8 race or the Grade 8
race. The Grade 8 race.
The Great Race.
The Gretz versus the Great.
Yeah.
The Gretz versus.
The Great Race.
Yeah, I like that.
The Gretz chasing Great.
We're going to copyright the Great Race just in case.
I remember when I
GR8.
first started with you, and we were thinking of things I could do to just come up with hours or just start to work. And I remember that was a big thing I wanted to do, just follow a team through a playoff series and do an HBO style doc.
Kids at school and shit.
Yeah, and it never really ended up coming together, but now that we have the U18 and the U15 league, it could be something we could do, follow them for a series.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
It's definitely on our radar,
Yeah, I just remember years ago when I first started, I was like, oh, that'd be sick. You're like, yeah, get a pitch together, and it just never happened, but
other avenues.
Yeah, there's definitely people like that stuff.
It's more relatable too, right? When you see somebody living, and I think there would be a ton of intrigue with what Ovechkin does, because there's not a whole lot out there. It's just him on his balcony having a cig. You know what I mean? It's just because nobody knows what he does, right? You know what I mean? He's just this is what he does in the off season. He just hammers Demoriers, but
and all of us as sports fans, I don't know what you guys, but I love listening to podcasts or watching videos of the best of the best talk.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's the thing about Crosby. He's kept everything so secret.
Yeah.
For the past 20 years, I would have just loved watching for a week, the ins and outs, that's
a day.
just of greatness. These people are not human. Ovechkin, Crosby, they're Michael Jordan, Kobe, Tom Brady, all these guys, Jeter, they're not human. So it's to have even a legitimate look in, because I know they edit the shit out of everything these days, but I don't know. I just always thought it was interesting.
I think there's also a part of it too, is that these greats, they're not. It's almost they don't claim it to be a secret, but there's a secret, some secrets to their game and their training and their preparation that they don't even want people to see. And I'm not saying this is a fact, but in my head, I'm going, okay, if I'm the best in the world at this, I don't want everybody to know how I do this. My teammates, okay, great, because that makes the team great, but. It's you don't want your secrets getting out there for what you do. And like you said, they're not human, so not everything can be replicated. Not everything can be duplicated. You can try as much as you want to train like Sid, but it's just not going to happen,
Yeah.
You can look at it all you want, but the intrigue of not knowing these guys behind the scenes, and all you get to see really is the on-ice product, which is incredible.
For Sid, that's all it's been, man.
Right.
It's just what he does on the ice and how he carries himself off the ice, but there's no real look into what a day-to-day of Sid would be like. It's kind of you watching the business guys or the billionaires. They're not human. The way their brains work is different. So it's inspiring. It's if you can pick up one thing
And that's
And
it.
that might help you,
Right.
like, you know?
Well, the thing about these billionaires and just these successful people, you don't listen to what they say, you watch what they do. And sometimes it's obviously hard to watch what, you know, an extremely successful person does because there's not a documentary crew following them day by day. But that's the key to following success. The path of it is just watching what other people have done, not necessarily listening, because talk is cheap. But like, obviously, if you're successful, you've done a lot and you've worked really hard. But there's little tricks within the trade of success, and it's definitely watch. That's what I always say to every like intern that comes here, co-op student that comes here. I'm like, sure, listen to us, yeah, whatever. Like, if I tell you to do this, do it. But like, to find the real secrets of our success, just watch what we do. When we go into a rink, watch what we do. Don't necessarily listen to us. Just watch our attitude. Watch how we work. Watch how we maneuver. Watch how we are very disciplined with our time. Watch how we spend our time. Just watch us. And if you watch us, you'll learn a ton more than me just saying, okay, duct tape that wire down from there to there and then do this and that. It's just like that's the bullshit side of it. But if you actually watch us and see what we do and see how we operate, that's when you'll pick up little cookies, and that's where you'll be off better. And that's what I try to do with everyone else.
It's like Cohen bringing us his water bottles.
Yeah, exactly. Honestly.
Small thing like that, but
Yeah.
taking your hat off while you eat. Those little things, right? There's an old saying though too. It's like, do as I say, not as I do. And we're kind of on the opposite side of that thing. It's just like other things too, like how, you know, Ice Jam's a great example. It's high stakes, it's high pressure. So it's, you know, how we react under pressure when times are heated and there's everybody around, right? Like the first day we had at the Ice Jam was a little bit of a nightmare for us, but you know, we still had our guys going out and doing the games and coming in the room. So you can't have that trickle down through your crew, right? And that's what makes these greats so good too, is the ability to thrive under pressure. And like, here's the thing. When you're playing a sport and your team's down and out, or you think you should be winning, or something goes haywire, the first person you're looking to is your leader, right? You look down the bench, you look at Sid, and you go, okay, well, he's dialed, but like, he's not freaking out. He's not throwing a fit. So that everybody else on the bench is going, okay, well, I can't throw a fit, you know? But if you look down, your leader's throwing a hissy fit, your coach, your whatever, you're going to go, well, okay, well, then it's probably okay for me to do this. But it you know, it's just, you got to watch what's going on. And this specific business is a lot harder to explain in words than it is to actually like go through things. Unfortunately, in streaming, you kind of have to fail to learn anything. You can't predict what's going to go on and then go, oh, this is what you do. You just have to kind of go through it, right? So it's you know, every line of work is a little bit different, but what you say is definitely true in this one.
I definitely, when I get the guys calling me with like streams down or just like little problems, they'll tell me the issue, and usually I'll know exactly how to fix it in about 15 to 30 seconds. So that's what I always just try to remember. Just like, if you're calm on your side of the phone,
Right.
it'll apply to them. If I'm there going like, oh shit, like okay, try this. Like sometimes we do get to that point if it's like a desperate like moment, or if it's in the middle of a game. But for the most part, I feel like, you know, the guys will just kind of feed off how you're doing. Like, if you're calm, then they'll just be like, okay, well, let's get through this, rather than just start to tense up and all that.
Especially when on the other side, like I try to think on the other side of the coin, if I'm the guy that's the issue, because obviously if you and I have issues, we just do it ourselves. But when you're on the phone, like you said, and the guy's all amped up, it does trickle down. But it's like, you know, when you're calm over there and the other guy's going, okay, well, you know, I'm scared that I'm messing up here. That's the main thought process, is like, I'm taking the business down by this little mess up, but it's not like that, right? So I've actually found our guys have been really good in that regard. And obviously that trickles down from us a little bit. Like if we were like, what are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. Then they're going to be like, they're not even going to call us. Right. So
there is like a fine line where it's like, you want the urgency from them, but you also want them to be able to like realize that high button isn't hinging on you know what I mean?
10 minutes.
15 seconds of you know, the first period here.
Because at the end of the day, in this business, man, if you're in the internet business or the streaming business or whatever, online business, like, you can prepare all you want, dude.
Yeah.
And you can have everything in place. You could have 12 adapters ready to go, and sometimes it just ain't going to go, man.
That goes back to what we were saying about your gut.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You had everything ready to go for that Cape Breton game, and like you did everything you could on your end. And then sometimes, like, you know, something will just happen you can't control.
And that's a big thing, too, is this goes back to us playing hockey. Like, the one thing that I really took with me, and I wish I was better at when I was younger, was trying not to control the uncontrollable. It's the most cliche saying ever, but when you're sitting there killing yourself trying to control something that you have no control over, what are you getting out of it? You know, you can't just throw the towel in, and that's not what I'm saying, but, like, you know, the glass breaks. That has nothing to do with us. I was in the building, but like it barely has anything to do with the guy that broke the glass. It's just one of those freak things that happens, and you just kind of deal with it. But it could have easily been like, oh,
You tense up.
now my game's 20 minutes late, and I'm not going to get home till 10. You know, it's like it could be like that, but it's like, all right, let's just make the most of this, I guess.
Anyway, so OVI is must-watch TV right now. You cannot miss that. That is going to be unbelievable when he breaks that. And his gut feeling right now is I think that he's going to do it within this year.
He's got what? He has to score every second game, basically.
Yeah.
On the low end of things.
Yeah.
22 games, he needs 10 goals or 11, so every 2 games, that math works out.
So that'll be sick to watch. I hope that happens. Let's talk U18 playoffs right now. This is something that's really exciting for this company with our first year being partners with the U18 League. Islanders, Max, Weeks, Subs. Max having to go to Cape Breton twice, just recently eliminating the Rush, now having to go all the way back to Port Hood. Shout out to Brendan. Going to be a lot of fun watching that series. Same with that. It's great that there's like 2 city teams and then 2 away teams, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
It's nice.
It's
Go a
good for the
little
league.
back and forth. And didn't you say the Max are at home first?
Yeah, they would be as the higher
So
seed.
then the Subs or the Steel Subaru are going to be in Pictou.
Yep.
What are you looking forward to about the Steel Subaru versus Weeks series?
I think the first thing I'll say is that it's the top 4 teams left.
Okay.
So 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3. I mean, you know, when you start the year and the standings finish, you know that the top 4 teams are usually the ones that move on. There's obviously upsets and stuff that happen in playoff hockey, but I think it's the 4 teams that should be left, in my opinion. I think the Max series won't be as easy as their last one. No offense to the Rush. They just were outmatched. Cape Breton West right now, I watched all their games in the playoffs. They're a hungry group, but the Weeks and Subs, I think it'll be a tight series. I think the Weeks are going to come out of this. I just think they're primed for a playoff run. I just think they have all the pieces in place, but that's playoff hockey, man. You just don't know what's going to happen. That's a beautiful part. If it was a 1-game elimination, you could pretty much, you know, wipe it, but in a 5-game series, you don't know what's going to happen. And the Subs are coming off a pretty emotional series with the Valley. There was some bad blood. There was some altercations. There were some suspensions, and but that's going to the top 4 teams, man. This is going to be U18 must-watch hockey. Like, it really is.
It's good for the 2 city teams like that are away on the opposite weekends. Like you're saying, the Max are home this weekend, and then next weekend Steel Subaru's home.
Yep.
So that should be good for the fan base. Hopefully get some crowds in there. So there's 2 different city teams playing on back-to-back weekends. So that'll be fun. Islanders, Max, what do you think about that series, Jeff?
Like he said, I think the Islanders, they're kind of like a gritty team. You know, the Max, they're the pretty team. They've won all their games. They won Ice Jam this year for the first time in a while.
Yep.
They're stacked. They got Benigno back from the Q. Everything looks set for the Max, you know, to go on a deep run. But the Islanders, like I said, they have that grit. They play out now McGuinness Arena. I guess they'll play their second and third, or their third and fourth game there.
Yep.
Best of 5, correct?
So it's like if the Islanders can split at home against at the Max home,
Yeah.
then they get 2 home games in the old Al McGuinness with Brendan. Shout out Brendan, like you said. And yeah, I don't know. I think both these series has potential to probably go. What is it? Best 3 out of 5, 4 or 5 games. I don't know. I don't think there's gonna be a sweep personally.
No.
It's exciting.
I'll say this too on the Max and stuff, because we kind of touched on teams that we didn't cover.
Yeah,
but,
exactly. I do all the Subs games.
and I
What are you
do
thinking about
I
this
do the
one?
Cole Harbor, yeah. One thing I will say is that Cape Breton West has, man, and this goes back to when you and I played. That's a tough place to play, man. Port Hood, that small town feel. It's the only show in town, and their fans are just as much into it as the players are. Now, I will say there's like a home ice advantage on that side of things. Now, the Forum, I'm not saying the Cape Breton West game doesn't suit the Forum. I'm just saying the Forum's a bigger ice pad. It's more flash and dash. The Max are more built for speed and skill. I'm not saying they don't have grit. They do have grit. They play hard, but the big wide open ice definitely benefits the Max in my opinion. But when you get into that small, quaint, almost like smaller feel arena in Cape Breton West, it's a different ball game, and especially with the energy in that building. So I think if the Cape Breton can take 1 game at the Forum, they'll be in good shape. But I just ultimately think, like you said, man, the Max are just primed. Like, they've played in a bunch of big games this year. They went to that Circle K tournament where it's like, you know, Alberta, Ontario, and that's usually where we go and get stomped from Nova Scotia. They held their own. They're just primed to go. Like, the guys on their team have winning experience. They have Q experience where, you know, Cape Breton West, they have belief, and sometimes belief and grit and a little bit of skill is a tough thing to match. But I definitely think that the home ice thing is going to be a factor in that series.
Yeah, it was just interesting. Like the Subs, like Valley series, Valley was probably feeling pretty good getting the 1-1 against the Subs coming out of it, right? And it kind of fell apart at the seams for them. But that was like a huge storyline in the first round. There it was like the Subs dummied them 8-1 in the first game, and then Valley. It was like tied. Like the Subs even came back in that game to tie it. And then Valley scored like right away, like 30 seconds later to retake the lead. So I think it'll just, if you're going to keep an eye on anything this weekend, it's can the Islanders squeak out a win at the Forum? Because the Max, like, have they lost at the Forum this year?
I don't
They
even
have like
know.
4 losses. One of them was in
Sydney.
The other 3 I can't pinpoint.
I
But
think the one was actually against the Islanders, the first game of the year.
Very first one at the Civic.
At the Civic, yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
so
Right.
technically not.
And
then
think about this: the Civic, smaller rink, right? Like I'm just saying, I watch Cape Breton. I watch the 2 streams because I love listening to Brendan, but I'm also just intrigued by the U18 playoffs. Like we got a lot on not on the line, but we're invested, and the way they play is just like it's nonstop. Like you know how like some teams have their top dogs, their top scoring line, and they're like not as physical as the other lines. Cape Breton West, their top line, like that Campbell Barrett guy, he took a few penalties in the game, but like, dude, this guy was all over the net. He's running people over. He's blocking shots. He's getting frustrated. He's playing with emotion, you know? Like, that's just one example. Like, that series, I only saw the clinching game live. And just, like, they're just a playoff-style team, man. Like, I truly believe that in that dressing room, they're like, let's just get in the playoffs, and anything can happen from here.
last year, I think they were up 2 on the Subs, weren't they, in the second round? And then they ended up getting reverse swept by them to go for the Subs to go to the finals. So, you know, I know there's a couple key pieces that aren't there this year, but I'm sure that sour taste is still in their mouth. Like
4 really good coaches left, too, I will say. McLennan with the Weeks, very analytical, very X's and O's, got his team humming. Obviously, the Subs coaching staff, the
Marty
Max,
King.
obviously, yeah, and like Ian Haverstock. And Cape Breton West are one of my old nemesis, Mike McDonald. He's a very gritty style player with some secret skill, and like you just know that the guys in these rooms believe in their top dogs, their coaching staff. You can see it like in every single game, whatever they throw at them, they go out and do it. It's not like there's no feuds or anything in there. They're like, okay, this is what we're doing. This has worked. Let's go with this. And I'll say the goalies left in this playoffs right now, like the tandems. First of all, the Max goalie set a new league record for goals against average. It was under 2 goals a game. You're going to win pretty well every game. If you can score 3 goals in a game, which the Max can no problem, you're going to win. Bell and Poirier and Cape Breton. They got Stewart and Benocio.
Yeah, they
and
came on.
Dartmouth.
They had a decent first round. Like I think that was kind of a question mark for some people, but they came together. Benocio shot out in the first game.
Yep.
Stewart got the win, and then they closed it out there. So
And then the goalies for the weeks, Sorrento and Thorne.
yeah,
You know, like
Sorrento, a Bedford kid too, playing out in weeks all year, having a good year. So he's probably got a bit of a chip on the shoulder.
The last thing I'll say on the U18 series is Fenwick McLean. We talk about him all the time. He had a slow start to the season. People are going, oh, maybe he's not going to be as effective. But listen, when the coins are down or the chips are down, this guy's been showing up, man. And he's I'm not going to say put the team on his back because they've had a good team effort. But now that the games matter and the stock is even higher, this guy is just performing, man. It's almost like he just waits for the big games. Like we saw it last year. He took provincials by storm. I know he was a man among boys for that stuff. But just now, like I think he's leading the playoffs in scoring as we speak. He's got 10 points, I think, in 3 or 4 games. Like, and it's not so much the points overall. You know how it goes, right? It's the timing. Like sometimes a huge save isn't the nicest save. It's a timing thing. And he just seems to step up when the games get big. And if he can continue to do that, man, that's a good guy to follow.
His first game of the playoffs was like that 8-1 game. He like totally took over, man. Like he was the guy. He was going in. Everything was going in. And they did a lot of line shuffling that series. But one thing you can guarantee is Fenn will be out there. And then I think he scored the game winner against Valley on Saturday night, too.
Yeah, it turned out to be, yeah.
I remember early in the year when I went to go do a video with Steel Subaru, I went to a practice and Fenwick was there and he was kind of by the bench right next to Marty, the head coach, and he was just chatting Marty's ear off about like a game, the night before, and I was like, man, you could just tell this guy wants to get better because he was just talking about a situation that happened the night before. He's like, you think I should have been here? You think I should have been here? Or should I have been here? Do you think I should have shot? You should have passed. And you could tell Marty was just like, dude, stop asking questions. Just like, but you could tell Fenwick just wants to know everything. He was so intrigued by the game before and how we should have been better. So you could tell. I'll never forget that. It might be like the third, fourth game of the year. Like it was early, and I just remember seeing if he can keep this curiosity up about his own game, he'll be just fine. And from what you guys are telling me right now, if he's the leading scorer in the playoffs, then it seems like that curiosity is paying off, and the things that Marty's teaching him is paying off too. So we'll see.
For sure. He's definitely he strikes me as the type of guy that would watch like a full game.
Yeah.
Like not just watch the clips on
his
YouTube.
dad played in the NHL, so he's got all that experience, like
True.
being like put into his brain of what to do and like what's the proper thing to